Hello friends, today I'm gonna do something that is completely out of my heritage. This is an Italian cookie. It's a savory cookie, but it can also be a sweet cookie depending how you want it. But I make it as a savory, and when I made it, I sold it in my store. I could never keep up. It's an Italian cookie that is made with olive oil and wine. Very healthy for you. Wine is good for you. Olive oil is good for you. But it's a cookie that you can put, depending what you mix in, it can turn into savory or it can turn into sweet. It's called Taralli. Every Italian has their own way of making it and their own recipes. This is my recipe, and like I said, everybody has their own way. And so for this Taralli today, I'm gonna make two different kinds. I'm gonna make the same dough, but then I'm gonna split and I'm gonna put two different flavors. I'm using, it's a lemon olive oil. This is a cold press lemon olive oil, the best. If you can find this cold pressed olive oil, not this infused olive oils, this is the way to go. And that's the only way I make my tarallis, is with the cold pressed olive oils. There's basil, there's jalapeno, there's any kind you can find, rosemary. It's endless what you can do. And when you use this, it's delicious. So I have here, I'm only gonna do half of my recipe. I have 10 cups of flour. And this is a cup and a half of olive oil. And I'm gonna use white wine. Use a good white wine. This is a Pinot Grigio that you can drink because you're gonna taste that. And I need 2.5 cups of white wine. This is what's gonna make the dough. So that's 2.5. So, and then I need 2 tablespoons of salt. You need salt in this, because if it's doesn't have the right amount of salt, it's not gonna taste good. So 2 tablespoons of salt. And I'm using fine salt. So, and I'm gonna add my wine. And like I said, you're just gonna make a dough, and my olive oil. And then I'll add the other ingredients as I mix this. But when I add I used to have a little store. It was called the Olive Branch. I loved my little store, but that's how it is in life. Anyway, I used to find ways to make things to just sell it in the store. So, and I came up with this recipe of Italian Taralli. Well, nobody had ever made it around here. So, I made it, and I could not keep up because I had to bake it, and I did that at home and bagged it and took it to the store. It was a process, but it was so good that it never stayed long enough on the shelves. And this is a dough that it's not soft. It's kind of a little bit of a hard dough. And you want to work that gluten until it gets a little soft. And because this is I've ordered different flours. Sometimes you might need to add a little bit more wine or olive oil. I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil. I'm adding 2 cups. I had another half a cup of olive oil. And you kind of want like I said, a mixture that is not too soft, but then again, it's not too hard. And you want to see when it's done is when it leaves the bowl all nice and clean. And you're gonna mix all that flour well, and you're gonna kind of knead until it releases that gluten. And I'm gonna add a splash of wine. Like I said, I'm adding half of the recipe. I'm not making the full recipe, so I'm going as I feel. I know how it needs to feel. And like I said, it's not a wet dough. I'm gonna work this until all that wine is incorporated into the flour. And then I'm gonna mix the other ingredients. Okay, so I'm gonna divide the dough in half. Half of it I'm gonna put in this bowl. And then the other half, I'm gonna leave it here. And I'm using lemon, cold pressed lemon, olive oil. And in this, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of, this is anise that I roasted a little bit in a frying pan, just to kind of release that. I have about 2 tablespoons. Incorporated all those seeds in here. And as you can see, it's soft, but it's not too soft. And it's very clean. And you see all the seeds. Okay, so this one, we're gonna leave it aside. And then in this one, I'm gonna add, this is granulated salt, garlic. I'm gonna add 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm gonna add some pepper flakes. The combination of the pepper flakes with the salt, 1.5 tablespoons. And then with that lemon oil, it's really good. It's one of those that you keep eating and you can't stop. I used to do the pepper flake and the garlic with jalapeno olive oil. It is so delicious. But I don't have jalapeno, so I'm gonna only use what I have. I wanna use that lemon olive oil. Anyway, so you mix it. Okay friends, it's been 30 minutes. My taralli has been rested, so now it's time to start shaping. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna. When I had it left it rested, I put a damp paper towel so the dough doesn't dry. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing like I've done for my biscuits. You kind of roll it into a little log, not as big. This is a lot smaller. These are gonna be small, little round discs. Actually not, it looks more like I shape them into a letter E. Or for the Portuguese, letter A. But I'll tell you, if you make these, you are gonna be addicted to it. And I kind of shape them, and they're not that hard to. And I wanted about maybe 4-inch rope, and then we shape them, and you make it like an E. And then you're gonna put them aside, because now after I do all this, we boil these. These are boiled in water, hot water, and I put some baking soda and a little bit of vinegar. And that's what we do. And then we bake them. But that's what I'm gonna do right now, is shape them. And then, and like I said, these are good to use for, you can eat them with a dip, or you can eat them just like chips, you know, just like a little snack. This with a glass of wine, it is divine. And like I said, everybody has their own recipes. I'm not trying to cut down or change a recipe from your nonna or from your grandmother. Anything. I found a recipe. I wanted something different, and I found this, and I turned it into my own. And how I started doing this was, we used to sell flavored olive oils, and it was the cold pressed olive oils when I had it in my store. And I was trying to incorporate the olive oil into everything I baked. So, and I thought, how can I use my flavored olive oils to do this? And that's what I did. I went and researched it, and I found the Tarallis, and I go, I want to make them into different flavors using my flavored olive oils. I missed my olive oils, but I still had some lemon, and that's what we used. We used the lemon in this. So we have lemon with garlic and pepper flake, which is this one I'm rolling. And then the other half, I made half of the recipe that I usually make. The other half I made lemon olive oil with fennel. And I toast the fennel and grind the fennel in my coffee grinder. Well, my spice grinder, because I have one just for the spices. And did this. This takes time because, like you see, you have to roll each one of them, and then you have to boil them. But I had at one point, I knew how many pans I can do in a certain amount of time. Well, it's been a while, so it's gonna take me a while to do this. But that's okay. I enjoy doing this. So I'm gonna continue doing this, and then I'll show you when it comes to the boiling. Okay, friends, my Tarallis are ready to be boiled, and I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of baking soda. And this is what's gonna give that chewy and the sheen. And this is a teaspoon of vinegar. Mix that in. And you want your on medium because you want a constant boiling. And we're just gonna put our Tarallis in the bath. They're going to take a bath. And if they, at this point, grab it through the connectors, through the middle piece so they don't separate. And if they do, don't worry about it because we can put them back when we put them on the cookie sheet. So we just give them a bath until they float. Once they float to the top, then you know that they're ready to come out. And if you make these, they can last in a cool place in a very tight container. You don't want to put this next to heat because it's only olive oil, and if you don't keep it in a cool place, it will get rancid. So that was the problem with a lot of people, especially the ones that I had it in the stores, because I used to have this and put it in different stores, but people wouldn't rotate, and it would put this in a hot climate, and it would be rancid right away. So anyway, once the Tarallis start floating, you just take them with a slotted spoon and put it in a paper towel. And I want to show you what do they look like. See, they're all floating, and that's you want. You don't want a heavy boil. You just want a little light roll because you just want enough to separate the the tarallis from the bottom of the pan. And that's what we do. We do this and then we put them in a cookie sheet and then we bake it on a 350-degree oven, depending, of course, the oven. Mine, I put it at 400 because my oven is not regulated proper. So, and you bake it for about 35-40 minutes or until they're all golden throughout. So then you bake all of them. And then what I do is, to get it very crunchy, I turn the oven to the lowest setting. I think it's 175. And I leave them in there for a couple hours, just so they can dry out all the moisture from inside. And that's how they get that crunch. And if you have a conventional oven that has the fan, it's perfect for this because it helps with the drying the whole taralli a lot faster. So, and that's all you do. So I used to make this in, like I said, different flavors, and we had a small little store, and I used to sell flavored olive oils. They're flavored olive oil from here from California, the company Modesto, and they have the best flavored olive oils I've ever tasted. I've never tasted any other olive oil. They had a basil. It looked like you were eating a leaf of a basil. Delicious. So we used to sell it in our little store. And so that's how I would make the different flavors. And people were addictive. I still have people ask me, are you ever gonna make it? Well, the problem is not that I cannot make it, is you gotta buy a large quantity of olive oil in order to do this. And then if you don't do it often, the olive oil can go bad. So that's why I don't do it anymore. But they're made with wine. Anything that's made with wine is good. And then olive oil. And you can serve this with some cheese. You put this in a platter with some cheese, different cheeses, and some spreads, and a glass of wine, especially now for the holidays. And you can make them ahead, keep them in a tightened container, and then just pull them out when somebody comes over. It's ideal for the holidays. I mean, just make a nice bag and put some cheese, put a bottle of wine, and here you have it, a beautiful gift. Especially for that person that has everything and you don't know what to give them. My last boiling of my tarallis. One thing I want to say, if you make different flavors of the tarallis, like I have here, I have two different, you use two different waters. So I boiled this one and all this flavor in this water, and then you throw it away and put in the water. Do not use the same water because you don't want the flavors to mix. So just throw that water away and put a new one. I forgot to mention that early on. So, but this is one way if you want to do more than one flavor. Just divide the recipe in half. You mix the same dough, but then when it's to add the flavors, just divide the dough in half or in thirds, however you want. But just remember that when you go boil it, you put different water. Okay, so now I'm gonna put these in the oven and I'll show you when I'm done. Here's my first pan, 2 pans of my tarallis. So they bake for about 35 minutes, and that's what you want. You want this color all throughout. So right now, they're chewy. They're not crispy yet. If you like them like this, then just leave them like this. They're fine. But I like mine a little crunchy. So that's why when everything is done, I put it back in a cookie sheet, lower the oven to 175, and let them stay in there until they're crunchy. But they are delicious as it is. I actually had forgot how good they taste because, I don't know, I've eaten more than just one or two. They are so good, and like I said, because it has that pepper flakes, this with a glass of wine and some cheese, it is delicious. You will see it. Try it. Try to make the recipe. I mean, they're easy. Don't have to shape them the same way. Shape them however you want. But if you try it, you're going to see what I'm talking about. They are so addictive. See? This one already has a little crunch at the end. So, and that's what I like. I like that little crunch. So anyway, try these recipes. Make them for gifts for the holidays. Get them those little decorative bags. Put it in. Give it to a friend with a bottle of wine and a piece of cheese. You make a nice little gift. I'll tell you, these days, that's what people want because everybody got everything. There's no need for anything else. And for things like that you make it your own, they're more appreciative than if you went and bought an expensive gift. So that's what I find for myself. So that's what I do. A lot of my Christmas gifts for my friends, for my family, I make them. I bake it. I bake banana breads, any kind of things and stuff like this. Because you cannot find this in the stores. You won't find this. And if you do, they're not as good and as fresh as this. So I will leave a recipe. And check. You got to see the video until the end to see the process that takes. And it took me 3 hours from the time I started, from the time I end. I mean, a dinner sometimes takes longer than that. So just try to make it, and especially for these holidays, and you will see you'll like it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I do really appreciate all the subscriptions, all the comments, all the input that people put. I love your recipes. Keep doing them. I do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good day.